In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, the words of a 13th century mystic might seem irrelevant, but in truth, Rumi's teachings may be more necessary now than ever. We are surrounded by stimulation but starved for meaning. We scroll endlessly, yet feel increasingly disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from the sacred. Rumi cuts through the noise. His teachings return us to what matters: love, presence, surrender, and union with the divine. He reminds us that the answers we seek are not out there, but within. Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi was born in 1207 in Balkh, in a city that lies in modern-day Afghanistan. He lived during a time of great cultural, political, and spiritual upheaval. By all accounts, Rumi was an accomplished and respected jurist, preacher, and teacher. But something in him was still dormant. He was brilliant, but not yet on fire. That fire came in the form of a man named Shams al-Din of Tabriz. Shams was a wandering dervish, an unpredictable spiritual renegade who burned with a raw passion for God. He had no patience for superficial religion or performative piety. He wanted something real, direct experience, divine intoxication, full surrender. When Shams and Rumi met in 1244, something extraordinary happened. Some accounts say they locked themselves in conversation for days. Others say their souls recognized each other instantly, as if they were two halves of the same divine longing. What is clear is that this meeting changed Rumi forever. He left behind his formal teaching post. He turned inward. He began to whirl, dance, and compose verses that flowed from a place far beyond intellect. Rumi became a mystic, a lover, a servant of the beloved. The relationship between Rumi and Shams has been described in many ways: teacher and student, friends, soul twins. Some even interpret it as romantic, but trying to reduce it to a category misses the point. What mattered was the transformation it ignited in Rumi. And then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, Shams vanished. Rumi was devastated. He searched for his friend. He called out for him in his poems. But eventually, something shifted. He realized that Shams had not truly left. He had become internalized. The beloved was no longer outside him. It was within. To understand Rumi, we must understand this core. He was not simply a poet. He was a Sufi, a seeker of divine union. His words are infused with the yearning, ecstasy, and paradox that define the mystical path. He wrote not to impress, but to express, not to entertain, but to awaken. Rumi's poetry is steeped in metaphor and symbolic language that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries. His verses are like spiritual cones, designed not to deliver simple answers, but to crack open the heart and initiate transformation. And this is what makes his work endure. Centuries later, across languages and continents, Rumi still speaks. Because he did not speak from his time, he spoke from the timeless. You may know Rumi as a poet, but his words hold mystical keys. They are not just beautiful verses written in calligraphy or stitched into social media captions. Rumi's words are maps. They are designed to awaken something dormant in the soul, to coax us toward a deeper intimacy with reality. When you read Rumi, you are not reading for entertainment. You are stepping into a conversation with the infinite. His words are doors. Take a look at this quote. Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. At first glance, it reads like comfort, but sit with it a while longer and it becomes a doorway. Don't get lost in your pain. This is a soft warning. Pain for most of us becomes identity. We hold it like a name. We replay betrayal, regret, and heartbreak until it stitches itself into the story we tell about who we are. Rumi's not denying the pain. He's telling us not to let it define us, not to drown in it. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. This is transformation. The wound becomes the remedy. This isn't just poetic optimism. It's a spiritual law. What breaks you often points to what you most need to heal. Rumi knew that pain isn't a detour from the path. It is the path. And in today's world where we numb everything, scrolling endlessly, binging shows, avoiding silence, we miss this. We try to escape discomfort, but Rumi whispers, go into it. There's gold buried under the suffering. There's a you that exists beyond the brokenness. He does not offer an escape. He offers alchemy. You are not meant to return to who you were before the pain. You are meant to become something new, more spacious, more grounded, more real. This shift is not dramatic or loud. It might look like finally admitting you are not okay, asking for help, or slowing down enough to feel what you've buried. It could be as simple as journaling your feelings instead of suppressing them, or walking through nature and letting tears fall without needing to explain them. That's healing. And in that healing, something remarkable happens. The parts of you that once felt like liabilities, your sensitivity, your tenderness, your depth, become sources of strength. You stop hiding. You begin to live from the scar, not the wound. Most importantly, you begin to trust life again. Not because it's perfect, but because you have faced the fire and seen that it didn't destroy you, it refined you. The ashes became soil. The breaking became a blessing, and slowly, without realizing it, you begin to thank the pain. Not because it was easy, but because it shaped you into someone you never thought you could become. Someone softer, stronger, more awake. Rumi gives us permission to let our scars be sacred. In a world obsessed with perfection, that's rebellion. And even more, your pain is a bridge to others, to empathy, to meaning. When you've walked through darkness and made it out, even limping, you become someone others can lean on. That's the real cure, not just healing for yourself, but becoming medicine for the world around you. You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? This isn't motivational fluff, it's a spiritual confrontation. You were born with wings. This line is an echo of something our deepest self already knows. It's a reminder. You're not small. You're not just your job, your fears, or the opinions of others. Your soul isn't bound by circumstance. The wings are symbolic of your potential, your ability to rise above the noise, your capacity to experience joy, awe, ecstasy, the kind that isn't manufactured by status or dopamine hits. But Rumi sees that we've forgotten. So he asks, why prefer to crawl through life? It's a piercing question, and it applies now more than ever. So many of us feel like we're just getting by. We perform our lives. We shrink ourselves to fit roles, to keep others comfortable, to avoid rejection. But that's crawling. That's living from fear instead of love. Rumi is calling us out. He's saying, the prison you feel, it's self-made. The walls, illusions. Stand up, spread your wings, remember. And in modern life, this looks like honoring your own truth, even if others don't understand it, leaving a job that drains your soul, starting something creative, even if it might fail, saying no when your boundaries are tested, saying yes to things that scare you because they matter. It might look like quitting a career path that's making you miserable, not because you have a backup plan, but because your soul keeps whispering, there's more. It might look like choosing presence over perfection, putting your phone down to play with your child, singing even when your voice shakes, dancing even when no one else joins in. It's choosing authenticity over approval. His words remind us that freedom isn't given, it's claimed. You don't have to earn your wings. You were born with them, but you do have to choose to fly. And that choice, it begins in small everyday acts. Acts that align with your truth, acts that reconnect you with your inner spark. And remember, wings aren't just for soaring, they're for rising after you fall. They're for carrying others when they can't walk alone. They're for lifting your gaze when life tempts you to look down. Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. This one is hard, especially now. Change often feels like a threat. We want control, predictability, but Rumi tells us, don't fight it. Don't brace yourself against the river. Try not to resist the changes. This is surrender, not passive surrender, but conscious yielding, the kind that comes when you trust there's intelligence in what's unfolding, even if you can't see it yet. We're taught to resist change. We measure success by stability, But Rumi reminds us that life is change. The seasons don't ask permission. The soul doesn't stay static. Let life live through you. That line breaks the illusion of separation. You are not apart from life. You are life, expressing itself in form. So, when change comes, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, through you, sometimes even as you. In today's language, that might look like welcoming the unknown instead of fearing it, seeing a breakup not as the end, but as a clearing, letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be. It might mean leaving a city you've always lived in, saying yes to a new relationship after being hurt. Closing a business you once poured everything into because your heart now longs for a different path. These aren't failures, they are shifts. They are invitations to evolve. Sometimes letting life live through you means dropping the timeline you were attached to. Maybe you thought you'd be married by now. Maybe you thought your career would look different. But Rumi reminds you, life isn't behind schedule. It's unfolding exactly as it must. Rumi invites us to become a vessel, not a barrier, to move with life, not against it. And in that we begin to taste something deeper than control. We taste trust. Rumi's poetry isn't about escape. It's not about floating into bliss. It's about waking up, especially in the mess, especially in the ache. Take heartbreak. In Rumi's world, it's not a failure, it's a mirror. The wound is the place where the light enters you. We quote it often, but do we let it shape us? In modern life, we do everything to avoid wounds. We armor ourselves, distract ourselves, pretend we're okay. But Rumi is saying, what if the breaking open is actually the blessing? What if you didn't need to fix your sadness, but sit with it? What if your anger isn't a problem, but a signal pointing to a deeper truth? His metaphors make room for shadow. You don't have to be whole to be holy. This is radical, especially in a culture that profits from your insecurity. You're constantly being told you're not enough unless you buy, improve, hustle. But Rumi speaks a deeper language, one that says you are already enough. And the parts you hide, they're not shameful, they're sacred. He reclaims the inner world. And in doing so, he reminds us that awakening doesn't always look like peace. Sometimes it looks like rage that burns away the lie. Grief that softens the ego. The metaphors aren't intellectual, they're invitations. When Rumi says, be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop, he's not being poetic, he's being practical. Let go of that friendship that drains you, of the narrative that says you're too late, of the guilt that keeps you small. Let it fall, and trust that what's real will stay, what's true will root. In real life, this might mean grieving without rushing the process. Setting boundaries even when people don't understand, saying goodbye to a version of yourself that's no longer alive. That's where healing starts, not with pretending you're fine, but with being honest about where you're not. Listen, when you read Rumi deeply, you're not just interpreting text, you're decoding the soul's memory. Reading Rumi becomes an act of remembrance because the wisdom he shares isn't new, it's something you already carry. Something your soul knows, but your mind forgets. He doesn't give you answers, he gives you keys. Each line opens something inside you. You start to realize the longing you feel, it's not for another person. It's not for success or even happiness. It's for home. Not a place, but a state of being where you feel fully yourself, connected, alive. That's what Rumi calls the beloved. It's not a romantic partner. It's source, it's reality, it's the mystery at the heart of everything. And your longing, it's sacred. It means you're still awake. Even when you're hurting, especially when you're hurting. Because in Rumi's world, everything belongs. The pain, the joy, the doubt, the awe, they're all doorways. So you don't have to figure everything out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay open. Stay curious. Keep returning to the heart. That's the path. That's the point. Not to transcend life, but to live it deeply, to feel it all, to love through it all, to remember again and again that the sacred isn't somewhere else. It's here. It's now. It's you. Reading Rumi is not a passive experience. His poetry is alive. It breathes. It meets you where you are and pulls you deeper. But to access its full power, it helps to engage with it intentionally. Here are some ways to work with Rumi's words as a living spiritual practice. Number 1. Use his poems as oracles. Open a book of Rumi's poetry at random. Let your eyes land on a line. Read it softly. Let it speak to your current moment. You might be amazed at how often it resonates with something you're wrestling with. This is not magic. It's the nature of deep truth. It meets us where we are. Number 2. Meditate with a single verse. Choose one line or stanza. Repeat it slowly in your mind. Let it sink into your breath, your body, your energy. Rumi's words are not just ideas, they are vibrations. When you meditate on them, you're attuned to a higher frequency. Number 3. Journal in response. Take a line that moves you and write it at the top of a blank page, then respond. Free write, ask questions, share resistance. Let it spark your own voice. This dialogue can unlock buried insights and guide you to your next step. Number 4. Memorize and recite. Commit a favorite quote to memory. Recite it when you feel anxious, lost, or disconnected. Rumi's words can act as mantras. They ground you. They remind you of your essence. Number 5. Share them in community. Read a Rumi poem aloud with friends or in a spiritual group. Discuss it. Let it open a collective space of reflection. Rumi believed in the communal path of love. His words often deepen when shared. Number 6. Create with them. Use his lines as prompts for art, music, or movement. Dance a line, paint a verse. Let the words become physical expression. Rumi himself danced his poetry. You can too. Working with Rumi in these ways turns his poetry from passive literature into active transformation. His words become mirrors, teachers, and companions. So much of modern life teaches us to search outside ourselves for validation, meaning, and love. But Rumi turns us inward. Again and again, his message is simple, profound, and urgent. You are not separate from the beloved. Everything you seek is already within you. The divine is not a distant deity, but the very essence of your being. Your longing is not a flaw. It is the call of your own soul, beckoning you home. Let Rumi's words be a reminder, not just of beauty, but of truth. Not just of love, but of unity. You are the flame, the moth, and the fire. You are the music and the reed. You are the question and the answer. You are the beloved seeking yourself. Let Rumi's poetry live inside you. Let it crack you open. Let it show you what you already know but have forgotten. That you are divine, you are love, you are whole. And in those quiet moments when the world fades and your breath deepens, you may hear him whisper, "Come, come, whoever you are." And that whisper is the beginning of everything.